Hey, what's up? I just wanted to do a review and a little bit of a summary of the book 10x is Easier Than 2x by Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan. First of all, I love these guys' books. The first two that I knew about are Who Not How and Gap in the Gain, and they're both incredible. And if you're thinking about listening to, buying, reading this book, perhaps you're very familiar with those two and are wondering whether this one is as good as those. And I am finishing it up now, so I have a little bit left, but I wanted to do this video while I was still kind of processing the ideas. I always have, whenever I finish a book or am finishing a book, it's usually the best book that I've ever read, right? Because I'm finishing it and I'm enjoying thinking about the topics. One of the things that I will say is a very good positive of this book is that I was writing a lot of notes and doing things. And I think like any book that gets you to do things and actually take action based on what it's talking about, I think that's usually a good sign for the book. The basic premise of 10x is easier than 2x is one. First of all, if you guys are friends of, or not friends, fans, readers of Grant Cardone, maybe you're curious about this book in particular. So the most interesting piece of this is that essentially what you get from the 10x rule from Grant Cardone is that you got to do more, right? You have to take massive action and all that. And this book is almost like contrary to that, which is interesting because I love that book. But essentially, it's a mix between the 80-20 rule and the 10x rule, which is you actually have to cut out 80% of the things you're doing if you want to get to 10x. And this book is generally directed at high-level entrepreneurs, and so I'll give you a few of the kind of other key takeaways. My favorite part, and the thing that I took action on right away, was looking back at when I was 1/10 the size, as our company was 1/10 the size of it is now. And interestingly enough, that was when I read the 10x rule. And I set the giant goal that we're just hitting this year. So it was very interesting to kind of look back on that, and we've now 10x, right? And what he has you do, or you can do based on what they're talking about, is break down the progress into 5 key sections and what the evidence was that you were in that era, and then what the big opportunity was, and then do it again for the next 10x period. Basically, the fact that you've done this before, and a lot of people, if you wouldn't imagine that you were going to be where you are now. So a lot of people just need that kind of like confirmation that you've done this before. You're capable. You didn't realize you would be capable of this, and you are, and so it might help you prepare for your next 10x growth spurt. And then this idea of subtraction to add essentially is like, if you had to do that, if you had to 10x what you are now, it would probably mean that you'd have to be way more focused on the biggest activities, the most important activities. 2x just means like adding a little bit more of what you're already doing, right? But 10x makes you think, and I mean, like, I'm very used to this idea of 10x, but from his perspective, or from these two authors' perspective, that you're actually going to have to take out everything that's not actually going to lead to that 10x result. So you actually need to get rid of things off of your plate. You might need to get rid of customers or types of customers. and chisel away at what's not the most important work, like Michelangelo chiseling away at David. Now, there are so many good little takeaways on this, and it feels like a very well-researched book, so I'm going to give it 4.5 out of 5 stars, I think, and say it's very pleasant to read because it's very motivating. And then what I just finished on the airplane coming back from Colorado, speaking at an event at Coors Field, which is really cool for Atlas shingles, was that we need to is a little bit more in the direction of gap in the gain. So fans of gap in the gain will really like this, but it's essentially like 7 questions. I'll pop them in the comments or in the description that will help you get in the gain quickly. So people that are fans of those other 2 books will really enjoy this book, and people that are fans of Grant Cardone will also really enjoy this book. I love these 2 authors. I think anytime they put something out, I'm going to read it. I generally feel that way about very few authors, like Patrick Lencioni. I can't think of another one. That's whenever they come out with a book, I'm going to probably try to read it. So, hope you guys have a good one. I hope this is useful. If you're on the fence about reading this one, hey, I'm just getting done with it. So, of course, for some reason, whenever I finish a book, I'm always like a huge fan of it. But I'll try to, you know what, I'm not going to revisit this, but I just like to talk about it while it's fresh in my mind. I hope you guys have a good one. And Tim Brown is my name. My company is hookagency.com, and we do roofing marketing. If for some reason this video, you see it and you are interested in home services marketing, check out our channel. All right, bye.